Why did you said you did it for 2 years. Why did you stop?
Uh so this is a sad story.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I left for a little while to come back to the Flathead, spend some time with family. Like winter was coming in and the program was pretty well shut down for the winter. Um so it didn't make sense for me to stay through another winter there because things had kind of shifted. So the plan was I was going to go back to the Flathead for the winter, spend some time with family, and then come back in the spring and pick up where we left off. That winter, the owner of the program, Bob, my elderly Blackfoot friend, went out to feed the horses and rolled his ATV and busted himself up really badly. Like broke both femurs, broke his pelvis, broke all his ribs on one side. I mean, really bad. And he was not a young man, so he was trauma flighted out to Seattle, and they worked really hard on him for a while. And unfortunately, he did not make it. So that kind of put things into a tailspin. He was he was the program. I mean, he owned the place, he ran everything, he kept the horses cared for, he was everything. And he didn't have ranch hands at that point. He had me and he had a guy from Switzerland that was there on a work visa that had already had to go home because his visa was
Mm.
up. So he was there alone when that happened, and they took him to Seattle to the trauma unit. He didn't make it. And next thing I know, I get a call from one of the neighbors saying, "Do you know what's going on out here?" And I said, "I have no idea. What's up?" And she said, "These horses, there's 150 horses here and they have not been fed in a month." And this was like in deep snow in Browning. This was about February when I got that call. And so I got in my truck and I drove out there, and when I got there, right by the gate there was a dead horse on the property. So I booted up and I hiked into the property and I found like 20 more dead horses.
Oh my gosh.
And sorry.
No, that's okay. Obviously, that must have been
Oh,
traumatic.
it was. And I mean, some of the horses had been fed on by, res
Wolves
dogs
and
and yeah. And I located some of the other horses, and they were all, the ones that were still living were like skin and bones. They were eating their own manure to try to survive. There were 6 foot snow drifts on the ranch. It was really bad. So I came out of there and immediately called the state brand inspector and uh, the tribal police, just to say, hey, like this is an emergency. The tribal police said, "We want nothing to do with this. We're not going to step in. We don't know what to tell you, but this isn't our problem." So I called the Glacier County Sheriff's Department. Glacier County Sheriff's Department said, "This is tribal business. We're not going to do anything about it." So at that point, I had taken this is a whole segue, a whole different conversation, but
that's fine.
at that point, I was working a temporary job in a political office in Whitefish. I was in an office management position, and I had met the governor of Montana. This was Brian Schweitzer. Um, and at some point, after dealing with the red tape and the bureaucracy and trying to get anybody to do anything about this, and meanwhile these horses are just starving, um, I ended up calling him at home one night, and I said, I know you don't know me from anybody, but we met and you gave me your number, and this is what's happening, and this is a serious political problem because the tribe doesn't want the publicity and they won't do anything about it. The sheriff's department can't do it because of sovereignty, and something needs to give here, and I've done everything I can. Around the same time, I called PETA. Of all organizations, I called PETA, the California office. This was like how desperate I was. And this guy at the office in California organized a semi truck of hay for these horses. and got it delivered out there. And that was like enough to get him through a few weeks, you know, with 150 horses or however many were still surviving at that point. Um, and got him, you know, kind of temporarily fed. And meanwhile, the governor actually started working on this, and he got a hold of the state brand inspector and he pulled some strings, and he finally got some authorities to be willing to step in, and we were able to go out there and we were able to round up all the horses as soon as spring broke. We got more hay in over the winter. We were able to round up the horses. We were able to get them inspected as abandoned, and get them shipped out of there. And we held a big adoption event over in East Glacier and got them to new homes. So it was kind of a horrid ending to what was a really special chapter.
That is brutal. That is, it's not like, it's not enough that Bob Black Bull died, that it had to like just wow. Who found him?
Uh, I'm not sure. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I don't know. I know he had some family in the area that kind of came and went, and that was part of it. He had a nephew, I believe it was, that he had asked to tend to the horses, and this guy just, I mean, he just never showed. And I mean, you know, I can't blame him because, like, how do you, you know, I think he was in his 20s. Like, how do you take care of 150 horses? Y- Just the
Yeah.
resources that takes.
What's so my, I don't know if it, you call it ironic or what, but so my boss, in he must have been around 60, similar thing, except he wasn't doing horse stuff. They were riding in the sand dunes down in Rexburg, and rolled his ATV, landed on top of him, broke his pelvis in half,
Hmm.
and like, so literally on the, like, I think he showed me an x-ray one time, there was nothing holding the top and bottom other than meat, like
Yeah.
flesh. And he had to have like extensive surgery and in a wheelchair for a while, but they're like, he's actually like able to like walk around, but you know, he was riding with other people. So
Yeah.
they like got an ambulance there like right away, and he was able to make it, obviously. But
Yeah.
just wow, wow, that is just awful. So I'm assuming, so there was no program then for the kids to go to after he passed.
No, that was the
That
end
it
of it.
just all fell apart.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so terrible.